Yo, what up, guys? Um, I want to talk about the versus battle with Hit Boy versus Mike Will Made It. I've been seeing a lot of backlash lately, I feel like, towards Hit Boy um, because he lost the versus battle. Um, to be unbiased, I could say that Mike Will got the best of him in the versus battle as far as who had the better records. But I also want to talk about how what verses is and the whole point of it. So, in the verses, I feel like I view it in the way that they intended to view it, and that is as a celebration of artists, as a celebration of music, as a celebration of producers. And I do feel that a lot of people tend to look at the verses and they want blood. They want to see somebody else humiliated. They want to see one artist completely shit on the other artist. And hip hop is a competitive sport, but also I think we need to give people their flowers. And I also want to highlight the fact that Mike Will Made It proved that his track record, as far as his hits, is in a different caliber. And truthfully, his records could really go up against some of the greatest producers. So I'll give you an example of some of the producers that I think are the greatest producers. So I would throw Pharrell in that category. I would throw Kanye in that category. I'd throw Dr. Dre in that category. Um, we, a lot of people might even go ahead and throw Timbaland in that category. So, with that said, I think even though, let's say, Mike Will went against a Pharrell or a Kanye, even if he lost in those battles, I don't think his records would be looked at as they got destroyed. I think Mike Will could absolutely hold his own and play his big hit records against some of the greatest producers like a Pharrell and give them a run for the money, even if he loses. But the point is, where is he in the conversation of the type of producer and how great of a producer he is with his hits? And I also want to highlight the fact that I think Hit Boy took a hit, no pun intended, took a hit in the sense of Mike Will just has bigger sounding records. Mike Will records are like club records. They have just like a bigger sonic sound, in my opinion. Obviously, this is all my opinion, but with that said, I think that almost puts Hit Boy at a disadvantage because Hit Boy might have, and he does have, a bunch of really great records, Grammy winning records. But just because it's a Grammy winning record, like for example, I think he had a record that he played with Nas that was a Grammy winning record. Even though it won a Grammy, when you play Michael Made It's Bands Will Make Her Dance, and you have a performance going along with it, you got money being thrown out, you got girls dancing, and the artist coming out and performing. That's just gonna be hard to beat for any producer. So I want to look. I want to go over the list real quick. So this is what I'm saying. Any producer. So let's see. He played Humble, Kendrick Lamar. Okay, so that's already a great start. He got his Ray Shremmerd's Black Beatles. That's good. No Type, Ray Shremmerd. Formation, Beyonce. So we're already throwing big names in there. I mean, you're throwing Kendrick Lamar, you're throwing Beyonce, and this is just in the first 4 songs. 2 Ray Shremmerd projects back-to-back songs. These are all big records. Kendrick Lamar, DNA. These are big records, guys. Not just big as in a lot of success, but big sounding records, hard to compete with. All right, but now, then you go ahead and play Pour It Up by Rihanna. I'm gonna say that again. Pour It Up by Rihanna. That's hard to compete with regardless of what producer you are. So it's a bit unfair for people to just be shitting on Hit Boy. These are some great records, and they're big sounding. They're club records, and they're on a stage. They're performing in front of a bunch of people. It's almost like a club-like setting. So I feel like sonically, the records that Mike Will has and that he's playing is tailored more to this type of audience. We're not done. You got. I'm gonna skip over a couple of them, but I'm gonna pick some of the highlights that I really like. Move That Dope. When that came on, I was just like, oh my God, that's hard for any producer to follow up. That's hard. Bugatti, another really big sonic record that's just hard to compete with. Bands That Make Her Dance with Juicy J. That was crazy. All right, we got No Lie 2 Chainz. And he's also showing, hey, listen, I got We Can't Stop with Miley Cyrus, Body Party, Ciara, Mercy, okay? Mercy Alone. That's a hard record to follow up. Kanye West, Big Sean, Pusha T, 2 Chainz. Very, very hard. Now let's go and let's look at Hit Boy's records. Hit Boy, of course, we got Niggas in Paris. We got Sicko Mode, okay? Now, where I think there's probably something going on with Hit Boy and Drake, maybe, Travis Scott, because he didn't let the beat drop, and everybody was waiting for the beat drop. So I don't know if he did that intentionally. I felt like he should have let the beat drop, in my opinion, personally. I think the people were waiting for that. I think that would have really helped him out as far as just showing his talent, but it didn't go that far. So he got Sicko Mode. He got Backseat Freestyle, which for a Kendrick Lamar fan like myself, I feel like that's a great record just to go ahead and play for the fans. But when you're playing it against Mike Will Made It club sounding big records, moment records, it's just hard to compete, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that necessarily the Mike Will Made It record is better. Like, I'm not playing Pour It Up all the time. I'd much rather listen to a Backseat Freestyle on my own. That's stuff that I'm more into. But when you're in that type of environment and you're in a club-like environment and Pour It Up plays by Rihanna, that's going to win. So it depends on the setting. Click, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Big Sean, good records. Hard to compete with when you're in a club environment and you hear Bands That Make Her Dance. I'm not saying that's a song that followed up with it, but I'm just saying it's hard to compete with. Trophies, Drake, great record, big record. Okay, but again, Mike Will Made It's records just sound sonically much bigger, and it has more of a club-like feel. So it's just really hard. He got Flawless by Beyonce. Shout out to Hit Boy. Not everybody's working with Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye. All right? Hit Boy got multiple records with Beyonce, and he showed that. Bow Down with Beyonce. That doesn't really do much for me. I respect it. Who doesn't want to have a record with Beyonce? I wish I had a record with Beyonce. Okay? So Hit Boy's showing, like, yo, I got records with the biggest people, which is a flex. But again, when you're in that type of environment, in the verses against Mike Will Made It's hits, big sounding hits, it's hard to compete. And he's got a bunch of other ones. The Easy song was cool, with Game and Kanye. Carousel, Travis Scott, and a couple other ones too live. all great records. Some of them Grammy-winning records, or the record that he played with Nas. You know, they have great music. So to me, the verses is more of a celebration. And I feel like what I've been seeing online is a lot of people shitting on Hit Boy. And I also feel like we need to put a bit more respect on Mike Will's name and his hits, and also understand that you could put Mike Will in a room with some of the best of them, and he's going to give them a run for their money if we're talking 20 songs, which typically is what a versus is. But I want to give a shout out to both of them, and I also I think it's whack that in hip hop we're always looking to tear somebody down and just make them seem much less than what they are. And then after somebody passes away, we want to praise them. I just think that's whack. I think they both did a great job. They showcased their talent. They showcased the type of records they have, who they've been able to work with. I do think Mike Will got the best of him as far as the bigger records, but that's no slight to Hit Boy at all. So that's why I really wanted to make this record. Is really more just to talk about the difference in the records and what type of records they are. So I feel like just Hit Boy just gets a lot of, I don't know, like a lot of people try to shit on him. But also he did a verses previous to this, and people say that he lost that one as well. Maybe he did. But one thing we gotta do is we gotta give credit to anybody, whether you're a rapper, producer, no matter what it is. If you're coming out to battle, you gotta respect that. Hit Boy came out to battle and he did a good job. Now, people want to say whatever they say about the battle, that's on them. But you gotta respect anybody that's coming out to fight, that's coming out to showcase their skill. And Mike Will is a hard opponent to go against, so you gotta give credit to Hit Boy. And which just kind of leads me to, like, for example, the Kendrick and Drake battle. Naturally, I'm a Kendrick fan. I've been a Kendrick fan since Section 80. So to see him grow and get to where he's at is amazing to me. And it was a battle everybody wanted to see for a long time, damn near a decade. So a lot of people just want to shit on Drake, and I'm not a Drakey, in the sense of I'm not the biggest Drake fan, but I do really enjoy his music. But me personally, I just lean more towards different type of music, like To Pimp a Butterfly. Like that to me is some of Kendrick's best work, as far as some of my favorite work. I love his Untitled Unmastered, love Section 80, you know. So there's just, to my ear, what I like, that's the stuff that I'm into. So that's no knock on what Drake does. I don't ever got, me personally, I don't ever gotta play a Drake song in my playlist for me to know the words of Drake, because it's playing on the radio, it's playing everywhere, and I'm singing along to his music. We love Drake's music. So I think it's whack that a lot of people also want to go ahead and shit on Drake and just make it seem like he got completely shit on in the battle. I actually think Drake did a really good job in the battle. So can Drake rap? Yeah. Is he known to be that guy as far as a super lyricist? He can be at times, but I feel like that's more of a lane that Kendrick was going for. But shout out to Kendrick being able to come out with a hit as well and put a bigger hit out than Drake in a battle. But my point is, in hip hop, we love tearing people down, and a lot of people been tearing down Drake, want to continue to tear him down. He's about to drop another project, and he's gonna have hits for people. So I just think it's whack that in the culture we don't really celebrate artists the way we should. Listen, if you go up against anybody, you should get credit for going up against them. Did you lose? Sure, you could lose, but that don't mean that you're not nice. That don't mean that you're not a great rapper or a great producer. I still think that Drake put on an incredible performance. I think Kendrick clearly won it, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that Drake didn't do well. Back to the versus battle. In my opinion, I think Mike Will won it, but I think that Hit Boy did a great job. and he's still an incredible producer. I just think the type of records that Mike Will has is hard for any producer to go up against. So that's just my feelings on it, and I thought it was beautiful for hip hop. I think it's beautiful for the culture, and I think that we need to see more positive people talking about the culture in the sense of Versus is more of a celebration instead of just tearing people down. They both put out some great music. That's what people wanted to see. They wanted to hear the great records and celebrate it and celebrate them both. So that's where I'm at with it. And let me know in the comments how you guys feel about it. And yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective. Drum 12 out.